I know that your properties host about 30 different restaurants that are in the world of hurt right now, and there also are a lot of people who are hungry. What are you doing on that front to sort of remedy the situation for both of those populations?
Sure, Lisa, thanks, and thanks for having me. Our response has been centered around two primary initiatives. First, and obviously, we have a food crisis. That crisis existed pre-COVID. It's only gotten worse and intensified during this COVID situation, and there are just many, many people out there struggling for access to good, healthy food every day, whether they're unemployed or whether they're first-line responders working in a medical fashion. So we wanted to help solve that problem. But the other problem we have is that there's hundreds of thousands of food workers here in New York City who are now unemployed, suddenly unemployed, and they're at home and they've been home for weeks, and they don't know what their future is like and whether these restaurants will reopen. So we started an initiative called Food First. It's a nonprofit foundation that we've seeded, and many, many people have now donated to create the wherewithal to bring these workers back into the kitchens in New York City, reactivate these kitchens, start preparing meals for those in need, and now they're bringing in paychecks again when a week ago they were sitting at home probably watching your show.
And I know that you're working with Danielle Boulud, and you've seeded the fund with $1 million. It's called Food First, and it is a very worthy initiative. Thank you for being involved with that. I want to shift gears to commercial real estate. There's a lot of angst right now about the state of New York City following the coronavirus, and I'm wondering how many tenants actually ended up paying on time in April, and what your expectation is for this month.
Well, I mean, Lisa, we're fortunate. We have excellent properties in Manhattan. We're Manhattan's largest owner of commercial office, and the tenants, by and large, are high credit quality tenants that are able to work from home in many respects. And our collections in April were about 93%. So, actually, only a few ticks off of what it would have been in any particular month, because many of these businesses are built to last downturns for whatever reason more than just a month or two. I mean, these are companies with reserve. The retailers within our portfolio, that's a different story. And those retailers, our collections were between 60 and 65%. I think we closed the month at around 63%. And we're expecting similar numbers for May. There are those retailers that have the wherewithal and capacity to wait out this pandemic and get hopefully back to business end of May, beginning of June. And there are those that we have to work with, many of whom I mentioned are in that food service industry, but other ones where we've been working on deals to help them get through with 2 to 3 month deferrals, partial deferrals and abatements. And, it's really been a joint effort between our team and these tenants to get people through this time, and looking forward to when the doors reopen and people are back in the city again.
Marc, I got to say, I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I grew up in this city, and the existential angst that I feel right now from a lot of people is possibly beyond what I felt after 9/11, 2001 with respect to what will this city look like after this. We have reports of the big banks wondering whether they'll have skyscrapers because they're worried about how to get people up in elevators. Do you think that New York City will ever return to where it was in January before the coronavirus really took hold?
Yeah, look, I've been doing this kind of business specifically in New York City for over 30 years. Every situation is different, and this one is different as well. And it always feels very severe when you're in the eye of the storm. But I do know that when tenants return and the workforce limitations are lifted, everybody is going to find that the response, at least from the office community, is going to make tenants and employees feel very, very safe about returning to their work environments. It's going to begin at the points of entry with medical screening and with elevator queuing to create less crowded elevator experiences. It's going to, go into constant cleaning and sanitization throughout the day. Some companies will be enforcing masks be worn within their tenant spaces, and there will be a de-densification that will go underway, which is the pendulum swinging the other direction. Everything had been about cramming more bodies into less space for the past 10 years. You're going to see that swing back the other way, where people will regain their social distance and to some extent their privacy, which I do think is going to create better productivity. I think the densification was working against worker productivity, but for bottom line cost control. And I think you'll see that go in the other direction. And I think people will feel that offices will be among the safest places, within their daily lives. I think more hygienic, probably than their own homes.
I'm just wondering, are you willing to lend? Are you willing to make new loans now to real estate, to office buildings and things based on that hope and that expectation?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we buy in this market, we lend in this market. The market has changed, and I think you will see for the next 12, 18 months, this market will be going through, at least in the office sector, a period of recovery. But I do think that the work from home experiment, while work from home was, serviceable at best, I believe that everybody that I've spoken with, my tenants, my friends, my colleagues, agree there is no substitute for working in purpose-built environments like office space, free of the home life distractions, in a collaborative setting. It nurtures creativity, camaraderie, collaboration, things that nobody really can say they're experiencing over these various, video conferencing platforms. It just doesn't happen. So, I'm a believer that people will have cabin fever. They're going to see the lack of, optimal productivity. Can you get by through a day doing video calls? Sure. Is it anywhere near as good and productive as being in the office? No. And I think as long as people have confidence that their environments are safe and healthy and well policed, people will come back, and we will invest in this market